What's up guys, my name is Timbo and I have returned back from the dead to make some videos for you guys. Once again. I've been really busy lately with finals and moving and just all this stuff prohibiting me from doing YouTube. But now that the semester is over, I have an entire month off to get back into the swing of things, and I cannot tell you how good that feels. Being away from you all over these past few months has really just made me all the more eager to start producing more content. In the meantime, I've been trying my best to keep you updated with things on my Twitter account. If you want to follow me to stay in the know for when videos are coming, participate in polls, and have a direct way of contacting me, you can follow all the links down below in the description. But most of all, thank you, each and every single one of you here right now, for your patience throughout this time, and without further ado, let's get into it. The topic I want to discuss today is something I have wanted to make a video on for a long time. And since the story seemed to have come and gone, I was contemplating whether I should still cover it. But you know what? Screw it. When you think about it, my channel really got started by the game you're watching on screen right now, Discount Halo. However, recently I have kind of been avoiding making videos on Destiny. Not only have I not been playing the game, but there really hasn't been anything super noteworthy to talk about in my opinion. And the only things that were really worth talking about were super negative and just overly beaten into the ground at this point. I know those videos do well on my channel, and yeah, I do enjoy the views, okay? This college tuition ain't gonna pay for itself. But I just couldn't force myself to make videos on a game that I wasn't enjoying, and I'm not the type of person to fake it. But there has been something that has come up, and while I don't want to keep being the negative Nancy here, I honestly think this is something worth discussing at least a little bit. Like I said, this sort of news has come and gone, but I personally feel like it never got the recognition it deserved. I don't know why this wasn't a bigger deal at the time. Maybe larger YouTubers just didn't want to get into it. Maybe people were up in arms about this and I was just oblivious to it all happening. Or maybe it's just me making a big deal out of nothing. After watching this video, you can all tell me in the comment section. And you know, I want to make things clear here for those of you that may be new. First of all, hey, how you doing? My name is Boyfear. And secondly, I do not hate Destiny. I'm just someone who sees the potential a game like this has and gets slightly frustrated when it's squandered time and time again. I've got nothing against the developers at Bungie. Luke Smith is probably a great hugger. I'm totally fine if you love Destiny 2. I'm probably a little bit jealous. At the end of the day, everyone is entitled to their own opinions, and what you have to realize is that this is just a video game we're talking about. So calm your titties. Okay, so now we can finally get into what is going on. The story I'm referring to being about the Reddit post that claimed that Bungie was throttling experience gains back in November. If you aren't familiar with this story, this basically meant the number of XP on the screen did not match the actual amount of XP gained doing a certain activity. The game says you got 300 XP, but it only gives you 200 in reality. Now there was no way to really prove this because Bungie so thoughtfully doesn't allow us to actually see the numbers on our experience bar when you hover over it. However, Bungie did come out and confess to doing this. And you know, I can see some of you right now. Hey man, this was such a long time ago, why do you even care? Well, I'll tell you why I care. This to me is a big deal when you really start to think about what went on behind the scenes here. So why is this something we should discuss? What's the point? I will admit on the surface this doesn't really seem like it has much weight to it. Simple mistake, right? But if we take a closer look at it, things become much more sinister. What we can start with is wondering why Bungie was throttling experience gains in the first place. You could say that this was some big misunderstanding or glitch, but I don't think so. What we need to do is look at the economy of Destiny 2 and beyond that, venture out to discussing the entire gaming market and current stories going on out there at that time. Now I will give Bungie this. I do find it admirable that they would come out and be candid with everyone and say, yes, we were doing this, sorry. Apologizing and being upfront about things is a really great way to handle the situation. Transparency is very important, and for them to change it was a step in the right direction. A person should not be rewarded the same amount of XP when they do a public event that takes 5 minutes versus a raid that takes 2 hours. Or if you're in my fire team, about 5 hours because we spend a majority of the time doing stupid stuff like this.
There's gotta be something like with this ring and why
Guys,
is it
I've got
on?
a crazy idea. Let's see if anything happens. You probably all think I'm a freaking retard right now, but don't judge.
You gonna tether him or?
He's gonna
I'm
he's
gonna
gonna
hop
jump
in this
in.
black shit. You die! Woo!
The problem came from throttling experience, so to really get into the meat of the issue, we need to look at XP as a whole and its role in Destiny 2. And the moment you do that is the moment things start to turn sour. In Destiny 1, XP was used for a lot of different things during both leveling and in the endgame. But in Destiny 2, you don't have to upgrade your weapons after receiving them anymore, or your gear. In Destiny 2, experience beyond level 20, which is the group of people this would be affecting the most, is used for really one thing and one thing only: receiving bright engrams.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
By Bungie throttling XP gains, they are therefore making it more time consuming to get bright engrams. And in Destiny 2, let's be honest, bright engrams, whether you like it or not, play a huge role in the endgame. Loot at the highest level is handed out with little effort put in. This is not old news. A lot of the coolest items, even though they are technically cosmetic, are found in bright engrams. And in Destiny, a game that is all about collecting, the more hardcore audience is going to want to collect everything the game has to offer. So they're placed with the choice of either playing and playing and playing until they develop carpal tunnel, or put 20 bucks in and yank the slot machine. This is how microtransactions work in a lot of games these days, but what makes it even more egregious here is the fact that the game was lying to you. Those on Reddit that found this out discovered that you would be earning about 1.5 less bright engrams than you should be. And I gotta be honest, this is just about as sleazy and manipulative as it comes. It's one thing to be a greedy game, it's a completely different thing to be a greedy game, but pretend like you're not and lie to your players. Now, up until this point, depending on how much you've looked into the topic, this could be considered irrelevant information by now, stuff that has already been talked about, stuff you already know. However, there is one last thing I want to bring up that ties all of this together and goes bigger than Destiny. I want to get into why Bungie and Activision would come out clean in this situation. You can give them the benefit of the doubt and think that they were just trying to be nice people, but given what I'm going to bring up, I find that a little difficult to do, as unfortunate as it is for me to say that. The first thing that sort of refutes this fact is that they didn't do it on their own. Bungie was caught doing this by people on Reddit. If that didn't happen, would this topic even be addressed, or would it keep going on under our noses? And more importantly, if we look at Activision's side of things, coming out clean about this sort of thing makes total sense with what was going on at this time. Because at this time, if you can remember, EA was taking a lot of heat from literally everyone on the planet. Not only did their stock go down $3.1 billion, but they were on the forefront of multiple mainstream news outlets, they were running into legal issues, it was just, and still is, a huge mess for them. EA ran into problems for a greedy amount of microtransactions embedded into their game Star Wars Battlefront 2. So much so that leveling and progression in that game revolved around the in-game purchase. And sure, is this stuff I'm going to talk about unequivocally factual? Nah, I'm just going to say my thing and let you all decide what you want to believe. The thing is, I think Activision has been doing the same business as EA. They've just been doing it smarter and more covertly. So at this point in time, if you're Activision seeing EA over here getting ass blasted by every single gamer on the face of the earth, you're going to try your hardest to stealth your way out of that bad press. So what do? Come clean about any controversy, play it off, do the right thing. This emo right here is the best metaphorical representation I could give, actually. Because even though people sort of made a big deal about it within the Destiny community when it happened, could you imagine what could have potentially happened to Activision if mainstream media found out they were manipulating people like EA was? And this goes back to other Activision news stories. Not too long ago, Activision was getting accused of pairing up people who had loot box weapons equipped against people without them in a psychological attempt to get those noobs to buy COD points. This stuff is so unbelievably greedy, and as upsetting as it is for me, I think Destiny is one of the worst games right now when it comes to the microtransaction issue. Eververse was always a little dumb and overpriced, but not until Destiny 2 was it so heavily implemented into the game. And it's one thing if you're buying weapons in Call of Duty or sexy Widowmaker skins in Overwatch, but for me at least, it is entirely different when you put this crap in a game that is essentially an RPG. Bungie has put the bulk of creative endgame customization behind a wall. And with the dawning now, this problem is ever present. Sure, throwing snowballs is fun and mayhem is an absolute blast to play, but without fixing these issues, the game will never get to where it needs to be. Will this video do anything to change these issues in Destiny? No, probably not. I doubt it will get that amount of recognition. Feel free to share it and spread the word if you agree on Twitter or Reddit or wherever you kids mingle these days. I just felt it necessary to bring up. Eververse is killing this game more than people think. But guys, that's all I got. Make sure to let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Like I said, feel free to follow me on my social media accounts linked below to keep up to date on upcoming videos. I will be making more content within the next few days. I've got some videos lined up and ready to go, so stay tuned for that. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.